going on, YouTube universe? Welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, where we discuss everything Australian rules football, and today's discussion is footy tipping. My reflection on round 19 and how poorly I fucking tipped another round of football. It was disgusting, round 19 for me. Let's just preface it with that. Before getting our tips in for round 20, 5 rounds of football to go for the home and away season, which is exciting in the fact that we're so close to finals footy, and we've got some really great contending teams this year that is going to make this final series, light up, especially with this wild card configuration. I was against it in the beginning, kind of opening my eyes to the fact that maybe this could be a good thing moving forward. I'm not too sure yet, but the discourse with me the most is the fact that even though we can talk about the trade period, the draft period, and things like that, the off-season feels like it drags on for so long, and then the season comes around and we're happy again, we're all watching footy, and then in the blink of an eye it's gone. And I hate the fact that we're getting so close to that lull, to that kind of, months and months dragged on of no football action on the TV, and maybe just having to go through highlights of the season to tie us over until 2027. But before we reflect on last week's tips, a little bit of housekeeping. I fell rather unwell over the last week, and I haven't been able to piece together my round recap video yet. It is still going to come. It would have already been out had I been able to do so. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. It will drop in the coming days, if not over the weekend. I will make sure it definitely comes prior to the conclusion of round 20, so it just makes a little bit of sense. So keep your eyes peeled. It's coming, and I've got some other content coming that I've recently come across. So thanks to Dan Gorringe for bringing something to light on his own YouTube channel. If you've seen it, you probably already know what's going down, but there's a fun little AFL game that I'm going to be playing and doing some videos on that I'm really keen to bring you all at home. But as I said, today is talking tips, and we need to reflect on the week that was before we can tip the round that will be. 4 out of 9 was my outcome for this round. It was terrible. I went on the wayside a few tips. I actually thought I tipped Adelaide and got very excited that Adelaide got up, and I was foolish enough to tip Sydney. I can't remember whether or not I talked myself out of tipping Adelaide in that video or not, but as you can see on screen, we went with St Kilda. I thought their rebound work 2 weeks ago against Port Adelaide and how they defensively set themselves up was going to open a potential bloodbath in way of intercept marking against a Geelong forward line that didn't have Jeremy Cameron, that didn't have Tanner Brun pinch hitting up there, and yet Geelong absolutely towed him up in that department. Cal Wilkie, I believe, had only lost 4, he'd only been outbodied on 4 occasions this year, one-on-one. He got bodied twice by a debutant in this game, just to give you a bit of a scope of how shit went down. Geelong winning in the end quite comfortably. Sydney dropping the ball against Adelaide. As I said, I thought I tipped Adelaide, so I was happy, but I tipped Sydney apparently. I'm not happy with that outcome because Adelaide made a meal of them in what was a genuine arm wrestle, but in the end, their pressure around the contest was just way too good. Fremantle getting it done against Port Adelaide gave us our first tick of approval. We backed North Melbourne against Melbourne. Given the fact it was at Marvel, I thought North had this in the bag, and they fumbled, which could see them miss wildcard contention completely. Collingwood over Carlton, I thought was all but a certainty, and they have defeated Carlton, delivering Josh Fraser back-to-back losses. Brisbane against West Coast. West Coast were very valiant in defeat, and I don't like using valiant in defeat as a coin of phrase, but they were great. Their young kids stood tall, and Brisbane, I feel, kind of limped away with a victory here in a game where West Coast were up to their necks in it for majority of. 70 points the way of Hawthorn in the next game. I said it should have been a 10-plus goal win, and they did that comfortably. See, I tipped the Gold Coast here, and I could have sworn I said I wanted to tip the Bulldogs, and I think I just forgot to come back and do it. See, I thought this week I had a good week. I thought I had 6 out of 9 in the bag because I thought I had Adelaide and the Bulldogs tipped. Turns out I didn't. And then GWS getting fucking upset by Essendon. I don't think many would have seen that coming. I actually feel that might have skewed a few tips off course this week for many people. 4 out of 9. Surely there are many better that did better than myself in my competition this week for a little bit of clemency, a little bit of a little bit of respect for what the Hip and Shoulder's trying to do here. Please, for the love of God. 7 out of 9 was the most correct amount of tips tipped, and we have a handful of tipsters to go through. So congratulations must go to Big Kev Shendo, Skyvo, Team Wiggles, Dusty Fendoff 4, Christopher W, Gramercy Riff 78, Purple Army 2013, Brisbane Rule, Memazar, Amelia J.S., Nancy W, Idan Prakash, Frio 90, Vanessa W, John W, sorry, Moon Predicts, I'm better than Trent. Oh, that's the first time. That's fucked. And Rebecca W. All of you, congratulations for the most correct amount of tips this week. This is the first time this season where I'm better than Trent has actually come on through, so that's a bit of a shocker. If you're wanting to go through total margin tipping, you can have a look through here and do so. If you want to look at the round margin tipping, feel free to go through and do so. But collectively around the competition on 123 tips, we still have Welsh Duke Duncan P holding down the #1 mantle. So congratulations to you once more, sir. Our top 10 rounds out with Big Kev Shendo in second place, Master Tipper from PA, Skyvo and Team Wiggles from 3rd to 5th, all on 120. Trailing them, we have Evelyn May, Ron Schill, Dusty Fendoff 4, Christopher W, and Some Cripple. Just outside on margins, we have Gramercy Riff 78, Purple Army 2013, and Jonesy effectively in 10th place as well. So congratulations to Welsh Duke for #1. Congratulations to my top 10, and just a thank you overall to everybody that has gotten on board the comp this year. 35 members. I'm hoping we can go above 50 in 2027, but maybe I need to start tipping a little bit better and showing that I actually have a bit of AFL knowledge in order to bring those people on board. So round 20, please deliver me a round where I can show it, for the love of fuck. There are some great games coming out of this round. I am very excited, and this is going to split, I think, the contenders from the pretenders, if you want to put it quite plainly. There are some teams in this round fighting for wildcard contention. We have top 4 battles. We have just finals contention all together. It's great. This is so good. And at the pointy end of the year, I've been thinking about it. And on the back of Richmond losing by 70 points against Hawthorn, and Hawthorn now jumping to 3rd place, getting a huge percentage boost, could there be a viable fixturing where after the mid-season buys are done and dusted, the back half of the year sees the finals contending teams battle each other for those spots, and then the bottom teams that aren't really going to be in contention kind of fight against each other? That way you don't have these big percentage boosting wins and teams jumping up because they're bullying the bottom teams. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about that. But we're opening things up tomorrow night at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide taking on Collingwood. Turning attention to the form guide, Collingwood have won their last 5. Adelaide have dropped 1 of their last 5. And as you can see from their match history, earlier this year we did have Adelaide defeat Collingwood at the MCG. Collingwood defeated Adelaide in Adelaide last year, as well as Adelaide getting a scalp earlier in the season as well. And it's never been by a huge margin. It's always been within a couple of goals. I just feel, given the fact it's at Adelaide, they're the #1 pressure team in the competition. Statistically, in other alignments, they are #1 and #2 ranked in a lot of other aspects. They have gone to another level this year. Some might argue that Adelaide last year was better, given, you know, they were the minor premiers and anything else you want to tack along with it. But just their pressure game this year, I feel, has made them infinitely better than last year's team, especially given the fact that defensively they've missed players throughout the course of this year. I'm going to go Adelaide. They're going to have to throw somebody on to Nick Dacos. I think Peatling will be the one to probably run with him, and Peatling has had some scalps this year when he has around that tagging role. I'm going to go Adelaide by, let's go 17 points. It's going to be a close, tight contest like these other games have been. I don't think it's going to be more than 25 points either side, but I think Adelaide are primed to get a top 4 finish this year with their run home, and they're going to do it against the Pies. Friday night, we have another doubleheader clashing half hour after one another. Again, I don't like these Friday night doubleheader bullshit fucking things. Some people might like it. I just think Friday night football is a blockbuster kind of setting, so it should be dedicated to just one team, and especially given the fact that it's a derby, we've got, you know, Fremantle and West Coast, give them the spotlight here. You know, we can do other things on Saturdays and Sundays, surely. Firstly, though, we're kicking off with Melbourne taking on Geelong. Melbourne have won 4 of their last 5. Geelong have only won 2 of their last 5. But the match history will show Geelong have beaten them 2 of the last 3 outings. It is an interesting prospect here because Geelong, I don't know whether they have Jeremy Cameron back. Tanner Brun, probably they don't have back. Sean Manor went down with a hamstring last week. Max Holmes is out for the rest of the year. Geelong's against the ropes as far as their top tier players go with the injuries that they have been sustaining. Melbourne just find ways to get things done, and they play fun football, they play fast football, and I think against a team that is lacking a bit of run and dash from Holmes, that doesn't have that key figurehead like Jeremy Cameron, I think Melbourne can pick up a scalp here. It's going to be a tight game. I'm going to go Melbourne by 3 goals. It's going to be close. The second game, as I said, we do have the Western Derby. We've got Fremantle taking on the West Coast Eagles. Eagles have lost their last 5, although they have been showing some light in those games, at least comparatively to the bottom end teams. They've definitely shown they've got the most fight within them. Fremantle only dropping that one game a couple of weeks ago to GWS, but firmly still remain that number 1 seed. They are 3 games clear on top of the ladder. It has been Fremantle convincingly in the last 3 derbies. A lot of people are thinking this is a danger game for Fremantle. Do Fremantle go into this game maybe resting some players, thinking that they can afford to do so because it's only West Coast? I think they do that at their own detriment. I don't see Fremantle fumbling this game, though. Back at home, and I know it's both their home decks, but back at home, they've comfortably been beating teams all around the competition this year. And as much as I think West Coast will take the fight to them, I think a 5-goal win for Fremantle here will, you know, just go a long way to continuing their tilt for the premiership. I see them there at grand final day this year. I don't think they're going to do an Adelaide and bounce out back-to-back. They have been playing the best brand of football, the most sustainable brand of football. Even when they've been behind, they always find a way to win. And that is the purple-coded brand that we are seeing this year, and they're going to get it done against the Eagles on Friday night. The first on Saturday, Gold Coast Carlton, Marvel Stadium. Gold Coast have not only lost their last 5, they've lost their last 8. They have gone from starting the year undefeated to staring down, potentially, if Port Adelaide can pick up a win or 2 at the end of the year, finishing in the bottom 4. It's a fall from grace that needs to be studied. Carlton have lost their last 2 after a string of wins, back to back against Josh Fraser. History. Gold Coast defeated them last year. Carlton have beaten them twice prior. It's an interesting game, this one, because Carlton's midfield, I feel, even though on paper Gold Coast midfield's better, I think Carlton's midfield thrives on the contested game, and I think they can get the better of the Gold Coast in that front. It's just whose forward line is going to fire more, because I rate Gold Coast forward line better than I do the forward line, of Carlton. Defensively, I rate Gold Coast defense higher than Carlton's. So it's purely a midfield game where I think Carlton gets on top. Is that going to be enough for the win? Just seeing how Gold Coast have been playing, I've got to back Carlton here, as much as it pains me to do so. Can Gold Coast rock up and get a scalp? They've won at Marvel before. Not out of the realm of possibility. But I think Carlton digging deep against Collingwood like they did last week, I think showed me more than what the Gold Coast did against the Bulldogs, if that makes any kind of sense. Hawthorn taking on Essendon is the next game at the MCG. Now, Hawthorn, they're just playing such a good brand. They belt Richmond by 70. Not at all suggesting that's going to be the margin here. And Essendon did get a good scalp against GWS, but I don't think Essendon are going to get close to Hawks. I think this is going to be Hawks by at least a minimum of 40 points. Essendon obviously winning their last game out of their previous 5. Hawthorn only dropping 1 in their last 5. And it has been Hawthorn convincingly on the end of their last 2 outings. 2024, Essendon got lucky, but 3 years is a long time in football, and Hawthorn's a different beast this year, so we can definitely lock away Hawks for another win and to push their top 4 chances. Saturday has 2 more games to round out. See, this is where Sunday could have had an extra game. They've only got 2 games on Sunday. We've got GWS taking on Sydney. Battle of the Bridge, NG Stadium. Sydney and GWS both have won 2 of their last 5 games. Sydney have, according to the match history, beaten them 2 of the last 3 outings. And both of those wins, well, one of those wins was close. One was kind of a bit of a blowout, but then GWS have been on the end of blowing out Sydney as well. I've got to go Sydney here. GWS just fumbling the ball against Essendon doesn't give me much kind of faith in the fact that they can back it up against Sydney. But that being said, GWS have beaten teams above them but struggled with teams beneath them. So this is very much, could be a game where they just rock up and do some damage. But I think Toby Green being out with that quad injury he picked up against Essendon could be an out that they're going to truly miss. He has been in ripping form, score involvements coming out of his ass. He has been up and about, and I feel taking that out of their game takes an avenue to score completely off the table, and I think they might struggle a little bit without him. Can they win? They definitely can. I just think Sydney have been playing a more sustainable brand of football. I'm looking forward to hopefully a good contest though. Because the next contest is going to be a blowout. It's at Marvel Stadium. It's the Dogs taking on Richmond. Richmond have lost a lot of games in a row. Bulldogs have won 3 of their last 5. It has been Bulldogs convincingly the last 3 outings we have placed them, and Marcus Bontempelli is going to eat us alive. I can only ask that Richmond are competitive, but hey, I asked that every week, and then we got dished up what we did last week against Hawthorn. Could be another 10-plus goal loss against the Bulldogs this week. The first of 2 on Sunday, Brisbane taking on Port Adelaide at the Gabba. Brisbane have won their last 5 in a row. Port Adelaide have only won 2 of their last 5, and Brisbane have won very soundly the last 3 outings they have had, and it will be Brisbane at home. Port Adelaide did incredibly well against Fremantle last week, given their outs. They do get Jason Horne-Francis back this week from suspension, but I don't know whether that is going to be enough. Brisbane are just starting to get into ripping form. Top 4, inbound. Can they finish there? I think they can, and they're starting to hit their straps at exactly the right time. It's a little bit dangerous for those that were thinking maybe that 3-peat was off the cards, because it's very well back on the table. Final game of the round is North Melbourne taking on St Kilda. North Melbourne have won 2 of their last 5. The Saints have won 3 of their last 5, and it has been St Kilda the last 3 outings that have got the job done. Now, this will be interesting, because you'd expect Finn O'Sullivan to run with Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira maybe in a tagging role. I think Tristan Cherry versus Rowan Marshall is going to be a great ruck contest. As far as the midfield battle goes, you've got Davey Juniak, you've got Sheasel coming up against Max Hall, Hugo Garcia. It's going to be a great battle in that retrospect. Defensively, St Kilda have the edge, I feel. Forward half of the ball, maybe North Melbourne is a little bit more potent. You know, Trembath and Larkey and Curtis and those types of players. Oh, I'm very tempted to go North Melbourne here. Just with what we saw from St Kilda last week against Geelong, doesn't really give me much faith in the fact that St Kilda can come out and turn things around. I thought they could do it against Geelong, but they failed to fire. Now, that with also that being said, I very foolishly tipped Geelong to St Kilda, to defeat Geelong in Geelong when they haven't done so since 1999. I didn't realise it had been that long, so that's probably on me, and I apologise for that. Do we go with an outside chance here, and do we go with North Melbourne to pick up the win? I think we do, just based on tentatively not knowing what selection is going to be made at the team selection this week. I could shift, but we are locking in Adelaide by 17, Melbourne, Fremantle, Carlton, Hawthorn, Sydney, Western Bulldogs, Brisbane, and North Melbourne, which again isn't really doing anything out of the norm here to try to shift my way up the ladder. If I wanted to make some bold moves, I could go Geelong here, because I think many would go Melbourne. Could we go Collingwood in upset? I don't think we can. Maybe Gold Coast over Carlton. could be one I shift. GWS could upset as well, but I just think Sydney too good here. I don't know. That's where I'm landing for this particular week. Do hope you guys appreciated the video. If you did, I would like it a lot if you hit that like button down below. It tells YouTube I'm doing something right. We might get pushed into the algorithm. It's all about growth, right? And talking about growth, if you want to get on board the community we are building together, hit that subscribe button down there as well. Keep your eyes peeled for my round recap video, which will be coming in the coming days, and hopefully over the weekend, the start of a little mini-series that I'm going to do with this game I was talking about before. Trust me, it's something I think you guys are going to really enjoy, because I've been playing it a lot in my downtime, and it is something that you can get truly lost in. So I take this as a warning. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.